Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to tackle homeschool high school transcripts. And I'm learning as I go, so just keep that in mind. This has not been an easy process, but I am learning, and I'm going to share with you everything that I have learned so far and the things that I'm doing to keep records for my sophomore aged students. So if this is your first time on my channel, I want to welcome you. Make sure that you hit the like and the subscribe button so you can get all of our content about homeschooling, education, and all kinds of things about motherhood and homemaking and all kinds of other things. Also down below in the description box, I have a link to our free Facebook group and to free language arts curriculum as well. Okay, so I have a sophomore in high school right now that I am homeschooling. So I had to start keeping records last year. Now there's two main things that I do to help keep records. Now one, I have a record of my own keeping on my laptop, and I update it regularly with his courses and all kinds of things like that. The second thing I do is, because we were military for so long, I actually have my kids enrolled in a cover school that keeps records, and I should get a transcript from them as well. However, I am keeping a manual one myself. You do not have to use a cover school. You do not have to use a service. You do not have to do anything like that. You can absolutely make your own transcript on your own laptop, and it is 100% legitimate. It does not have to be from a service or anything like that. You can make your own. You don't have to spend money to go do that. So you might remember transcripts from your high school and college days, but a transcript, it really is just a one-page paper that has your students' information on it, their grades, the courses they took, their GPA, and that is what helps them get into college. And it's what helps them get their high school diploma. So every high schooler needs a transcript. So this is not something that you should skip. You absolutely need to do this, especially if they're going to go to college, but you also want them to be able to get their high school diploma through your state or whatever program you're in. So yes, you do actually need to have a high school transcript for each one of your children. High school transcripts are one of those things that really scares people, especially first-time homeschoolers who might be really nervous about homeschooling high school. Usually it's because of high school transcripts. So I'm here to kind of go over what we're doing, and so hopefully you guys can see just like an example, and you can see how basic the one that I'm keeping is. This does not have to be super fancy. I'm using Excel, and I'm actually going to take you into my computer so you guys can see what it looks like. So one thing I want to go over is you need to start this early. Start this at the beginning of 9th grade. That's what I did. Now, one of the things that I did to get my template was I actually went to my high school's Department of Education website. Most states, I say most because all should have them, but you never know. But most states should have some kind of official Department of Education website, and there should be a section on there for home educators. Now, mine has that, and they have a template on there for us to download and use for free, an Excel spreadsheet for these high school transcripts, and we can actually submit those to get the high school diploma through the state. So they make it super easy in my state. I love that they do that. However, I am not good with Excel, so I feel like I'm actually learning Excel as I go through this. But it's been fine. I've been able to kind of keep up with it, and I'm learning as I go. And I have found that most things with homeschool, I just learn as I go. It's a learn by doing type of experience, which, to be fair, that's how you learn how to teach in public school too. It's a learn by doing experience. You cannot learn in college how to teach. You just have to do it. So let's go over a couple things that are actually on your child's transcript. Your school name is going to be on there, your child's name, their date of birth, all of the courses that they took, they're gonna be on there, the grades that they got. So, keep track of your child's grades in high school. They are important because you need to be able to calculate the GPA, or the grade point average. You need to have a grade point average typically for each year and for the entire 4 years together. So you need to have 2 different types of GPAs on there. You also need to have a grading scale, the graduation date, your name, your signature. There are quite a few things that go on this, but this is really going to be just a 1-page paper that you're going to have, and you're just going to keep updating it. Once you get started with this, even though it sounds like a lot, you're gonna go, oh, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. Now, for the GPA, I was not sure how to calculate GPAs, but I did find this out. I Googled it, and it took me 30 seconds this last year when my son was done with 9th grade. There's GPA calculators all over the internet. All you do is just enter in the grades and boom, done. You don't even have to sweat it. It's already done for you. Just go in there, add up all the grades, and you got a GPA. So easy. You can also add in standardized test scores for your transcript. Now, I plan on doing this because I know my son is probably going to take the SATs, not this year, but next year is what I plan on. So if your child is taking the SATs, the ACT, the ASVAB, whatever, add those scores in there, and you can even, keep records of those two and just have it with the transcript. Now, a word about naming the courses. Be as descriptive as possible. And what I did personally was, when I was on the Department of Education website, I made sure to go through and see what it was they wanted to see on that transcript and the graduation requirements. So those are going to be the 2 things that you really need to pay attention to. Mainly the graduation requirements, because that's going to tell you what needs to be on that transcript. Usually it's English 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's, your math is going to be algebra, geometry, algebra 2, and probably like pre-calculus or something after that. It's going to tell you if they need a PE credit or an art credit or a music credit, something like that. They're going to tell you all those classes, how many credits they need of those classes, and that's going to be what they want to see on your transcript. Now, keep in mind for, especially for your electives, be descriptive. Don't just put elective 1, elective 2. If your elective is foreign language, put foreign language and then put the name of the language that they learned. Don't just put foreign language, and don't just put elective. So for my transcript for my son for this year, for example, he is going to have on his astronomy for an elective. He's also which is also a science credit. He's also going to have on there foreign language Japanese, because he's taking Japanese. So those are some of the things that you're going to want to make sure is on the transcript, because the colleges are going to be looking at this during the admissions process, and you want to make sure that you have all the information that they want to see there and that they can see what your child did. Now, you also might want to include things that they did outside. So if they did like some kind of volunteer work, or they did some kind of special project in the community, I would take pictures and have some kind of record of that to go with your transcript. Now, is that absolutely necessary? Probably not. But if it's something that I want the colleges to look at, I'm going to find some kind of way to put that on my transcript. Now, when you get your curriculum for high school, you need to look and see how many credits each one is. So for example, my son needs so many history credits for graduation within the state of North Carolina. The history that he's taking right now is actually worth 2 credits. I can either split that into 2 years, or I can have it in 1 year and it be 2 credits. So, there's different ways that you can do that. Typically, each main course, your history, your science, your language arts, and your math, typically those are all going to be 1 full credit. Electives, music, art, those are typically going to be half credits. Now, the way that your state weighs credits is probably going to be different from every other state, so you need to make sure that you look it up and see what the requirements for a weighted credit actually is, and it should all be there on the Department of Education website, and you can look that up. Now, another point I want to make is you need to also look at the college admissions. So we have a college here in town that my son is looking at going to. He is looking into trade school right now. That could totally change by the time he graduates, but I'm looking into the local college here, and I'm looking at the main state college, and I'm looking and seeing what their admissions are and what they require in the admissions department. Those are super easy to look up, and typically the Department of Education website will also have your main colleges for the state on there and what their requirements are too. So the actual state graduation requirement might be a little bit different than what the college wants to see. The college might want to see it just a little bit more because it makes a more diverse, well-rounded student. But your actual state graduation requirements is probably going to be more straightforward. They want to see the big four: history, science, math, language arts, a specific number of PE and electives, and that's probably it. So overall, it should be a pretty straightforward process with that. So all you really need to do is every year when you order your curriculum, you need to be looking at the list of requirements for your state and for the college that your child may want to go to. If your child doesn't know what college they want to go to, just kind of do what I'm doing and go by what the state requires first, and then add in a little bit more if you so desire for your local or state college. So now I'll take you behind the scenes and show you what an example looks like of a high school transcript in Excel. And this is based upon the one that I'm using for my son, and it's based upon the one that I got from my State Department of Education website. It's just an Excel program, but I want you to see kind of what this looks like so it doesn't seem so intimidating, and so you can see some of the information that's there. Just as a note, none of this information is going to be correct, whether that is the child's date of birth or the grades. Those are not my son's. I am going to just use an example one because I'm not that kind of mom. I'm not going to embarrass him and put his grades or his personal information out there to the internet. But I do want to show you what the one that we are using looks like and how easy this actually is. It's not nearly as intimidating as a lot of you probably think it is. I know it's not as intimidating as I thought it was, because I was terrified of the high school transcript, but now that I'm here, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. I got this. So here's a look at what a mock high school transcript looks like for my students. Now these numbers are not correct. So these are not my son's actual grades. I just made this up for sake of this video. But you can see some of the information that is going to be required for you for a high school transcript. So this is an Excel, or if you have a Mac like me, the Pages application, this is the same thing. So up at the top, you're going to have your school name, grades, 9 through 12, the name of the student. Chief administrator is going to be you or whoever is the main person educating your child. You're going to have your basic information, address, your telephone number, your email address, and then information for your child. And then you're going to have your graduation date. I'm not going to put this in until I know a good projected date. And then, of course, your SAT and ACT scores up here at the top. Total credits earned, and you're going to have this when your child is done with all of their courses. You should be able to total up all of these credits here to put in this box. And then unweighted grade point average. So there are two kinds of grade point averages. I'm not going to really go into detail here, but look these up if you don't know what they are. There's going to be unweighted and weighted GPAs. Different colleges might look at different ones. You need to look and see what your actual graduation requirements are and what they want to see on your high school transcript. So this might be different for each state, so make sure that you look that up. And then you're going to have the actual list of courses here. So you're going to have 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. These are just some examples, just like I was talking about in the video before. So Algebra 1, World History, Biology, Language Arts, those are your big four classes. And then your electives, Art, PE, and then whatever ones that they are taking. You're going to have your grade letter, and then the grade number, and then your number of credits for each course. So all of these courses this year were 1 credit that we have in here. But let's say that not every course is 1 credit. So just like I was explaining earlier, our American history is actually worth 2 credits this year. And Our astronomy class is actually a half credit, so you can put in half credits, however you want to weight those, put those in. And then you're going to do the same thing for all the rest of the courses throughout your child's time in high school. You're going to have a grading scale down here. Put whatever grading scale you have. There's, I think, 2 main grading scales. You're going to have this one or the more traditional one that has the grades from about 60 to 100 instead of 50 to 100. You're going to have your address down at the bottom and the date. Now, again, double check and see what your state actually requires to be on the transcript for graduation and make sure that you follow all of your state guidelines. All right, guys, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope this answers some questions and makes the transcript process a little bit less intimidating. And let me know how many of you are also kind of in the same boat that I am. You know, you're kind of new. This is the first child going through. I feel like I'm going to work out all the kinks before my second one has to graduate. So that's a good thing, you know, but you know, the first child I feel like is always kind of like the guinea pig, and you really are learning by doing with that first child. So, you know, I think it's going to be good. I'm going to figure it out. It's just, you know, it's a little bumpy along the way until we get there. But, you know, I'm going to feel so much better when they're both graduated and in college, and I can finally just breathe a sigh of relief. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy homeschooling.